Hey everybody, welcome back to week 5 of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, Recruiting in Yoga Pants. We made it! It's the end of January. A new month is upon us, thank God, because January was rough. Am I right? Anybody else have a really shit January? Just go check out my Twitter feeds. It's a nightmare. Okay, so a quick recap to last week. I'm really excited about this. I was nervous at first and now I'm getting excited. So we are launching a new series. It'll be a limited run series of live resume reviews. So we talked about this a little bit last week. I've got a handful of people that have raised their hand and said, yeah, sure, I'll play. Let's do it. Let's make some videos. So those will be coming. If I have not gotten back to you, if you're one of the folks that had reached out about doing that and you did not get a response from me, bear with me. I'm working through the list and we'll start working on logistics. And so expect to see that probably mid-February is what I'm thinking. I'm hoping we can make the videos in the next 2 weeks and then I'll figure out how to actually get them on the site. Because I think it's going to be more complicated than my current best practice, which is hitting record on my iPhone. I think there might be a little bit more to it, so we're going to figure it out. Okay, so for this week, there's so many topics that I think need to be covered, and my initial thought was to talk about feedback, but I'm going to save that one. There's some landmines there that I'm not sure I'm ready to address just yet. So if you would be interested in a conversation about feedback, drop me a comment, send me an email, amy@recruitinginyogapants.com. Tell me exactly what you're looking for and how you're thinking about feedback and what would be helpful for you from a recruiter's perspective, because this could go a lot of directions and frankly, none of them are very safe. But that's the whole point of this, right? This is like shining a light on the industry and recruiting and trying to demystify what we do and why we do it. So if feedback would be an interesting topic, let me know. Let's give it a shot. Okay. So, but this week, there were some, I'm showing my age here. Let me put my, my specs on. So a lot of you have talked about things like, resume building, referral programs, interview prep. Some people have told me I should spend some time on Blind. I will tell you I spend too much time on Blind. So we'll maybe cover that, that's interesting. So I thought, let's talk a little bit about interview prep. Okay. I actually wrote a blog about this and, so I'll link that as well in the pinned comments, but interview prep, this is critical, y'all. I mean, you're about to sit for a test is what you're doing. There's no two ways around it. If you are going through an interview, you are being tested on your ability to do a job. I don't know about you. I get test anxiety so bad. I suck at tests. I don't like tests. I don't like being tested. So interviews are one of my levels of hell. I am not good at them. I do not enjoy them. And every time I go through an interview and come out on the other side with a job offer, you could knock me over with a feather because I am convinced that I have blown every single interview I have been the candidate in. Go figure. So if someone like me who interviews for a living has so much trouble on the other side of the desk, I can only imagine what it's like for people who do it every 3 years. So high level, super quickly, we'll talk about prep. I will link the blog post I wrote previously. Please take a look at it. Some good insight there. But here's the big idea, okay? The myth, so to speak, is that we don't care. Recruiters don't care. We're just going to kind of throw you out to the wolves and say, hey, go and interview and, good luck. Most interviews, in fact, I would say most recruiters, in fact, I would say great recruiters are going to prep the shit out of you, okay? We're going to provide you with more information than you think you need. And great recruiters should be able to do two things. They should be able to answer your questions about what to expect, and they should be able to give you insight into how you're going to be measured. Okay, so different companies are going to have different ways of looking at this. You could have somewhere like, and I'll just use Google as an example. I worked at Google and hired managers, and Project Oxygen was a big deal. We always sent that case study, and you can Google Project Oxygen and see what I'm talking about. We sent that to all of our leadership candidates. We're like, you have to read this. Like, this is important. You're going to be measured against these principles. You're going to be expected to be able to speak to your leadership experience and skills and those kinds of things. And so it was really important for me as a recruiter to share that with my job seekers and with my candidates and say, please study. please read this. Please pay attention. And so things like that are really important. Going back to, Microsoft, same concept. I mean, there were just certain things that, I knew. One of the things, actually, roles that I recruited for anyway at Microsoft is really fundamental coding knowledge. So really having that almost like CS 101 stuff. It was really important. Our interviewers really tested for that. And so if I'm working with a job seeker who's 10 years out of school, I'm like, don't be afraid to crack a textbook, okay? Don't be afraid to go brush up on, some of the basic data structures and algorithms and things, because I get it. You've been out of school 10 years, but this is just part of our process. And these are some of the things that we're vetting for. So the recruiter should be able to give you that really specific insight and tips and tricks and links to websites and attachments and all kinds of stuff. So if they're not, ask for it. What can I do to be successful? A good recruiter is just going to cry if you say that, because we're going to be so happy that you're paying attention and that you care. So please don't be afraid of interview prep. Think of it like a test, and it's a test in a subject that you might be familiar with, but you've never taken this test before, unless you've worked for this company before. This is a new company with new ideas, new ways of doing things, new ways of grading and measuring said test. So take the advice of your recruiter, take the advice of any coaches or referrals or folks that you might know in the organization that can give you some insider tips, and don't be afraid to ask. I cannot stress that enough. I think I've said it 47 times now. Don't be afraid to just really dig in and say, I know I have one chance to make a great impression. What are the areas I should study up on? What are the things I absolutely need to nail? And what kind of information do you have for me to help me be successful in this interview? If you say that to a recruiter, they will be wrapped around your little finger. I promise you. We will be so, you're my favorite candidate. Because you make us look good. If you come in and nail that interview, God love you. We're as happy as we could be, because hopefully we can hire you, and that is one less position that we have to recruit for. So interview prep. Do not be afraid to ask questions. Do not be afraid to take a couple of weeks to study. And most of all, work closely with your recruiter. Partner with them, trust them. They typically hold the keys to the kingdom here and are able to give you the insight that will make you shine. All right, until next week, let me know what you want to tackle next. Maybe it's feedback. I don't know. And watch for the video series coming out on resume reviews. It's going to be fun. We'll see you next week.